You ever notice how people love to suffocate themselves with worry? Like it's some twisted blanket they wrap around their chest, squeezing tighter and tighter, gasping for air, but refusing to let go. They sit there at night, wide-eyed, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing every possible disaster that might never even happen. And the funny part, they think worry is control. Like if they suffer enough in their heads, maybe life will show them mercy. But worry doesn't change tomorrow. It only robs today. Worry, it's such a strange little game, isn't it? People wrap themselves in it like a blanket that keeps them cold instead of warm. They sit in their rooms, pacing back and forth, chewing on the same thought over and over until it loses all shape and becomes a monster of their own making. They call it being careful, being realistic, but deep down it's just fear with a mask on. Worry blinds them, fogs their eyes so badly they don't even notice when something good is already crawling its way into their lives. A door opens right in front of them, and they're too busy staring at the crack in the floor to step through. You see, the funny thing about worry is it convinces you you're in control. That little voice says, if you keep thinking about it, if you keep turning it over, you'll somehow stop the bad thing from happening. But has that ever worked? Has worrying ever stopped the storm, the loss, the chaos? No. Worry doesn't stop it. It simply drags you down into it earlier, makes you feel the pain twice, once in your head, once in reality. And the cruelest trick, while you're lost in that maze of worry, the miracle you've been begging for might already be parked outside your door. But you don't hear the knock. You don't see the light. You're too busy trembling at shadows. That's the trap most people fall into. They think worry means they're responsible, that it makes them prepared. But preparation doesn't look like that. Preparation is action, steps, decisions. Worry is stillness paralysis, a twisted comfort zone where nothing changes and nothing grows. The very thing you're praying for, that miracle, that breakthrough, might already be shifting the ground beneath your feet. But if you're glued to your fear, you won't notice the ground moving, and you'll miss the chance to step into the new path. Imagine this: the very moment you're worrying about money, a new opportunity is forming. The moment you're worrying about betrayal, someone loyal is about to appear. The moment you're worrying about loss, life is preparing to replace it with something better. But you're not watching. You're not open. You're locked in the cage of your own restless mind. That's why worry blinds. It steals the eyes you need to see what's already being delivered to you. And the cruel joke is, worry convinces you it's helping. It says, if you don't worry, you're careless. If you don't worry, something will sneak up and crush you. But let me ask you, how many times have the things you feared never even happened? You wasted weeks, months, maybe years, building castles of disaster in your head that never materialized. Yet the things you never expected, the sudden twists, the moments of grace, those showed up unannounced. And you didn't need worry to make them happen. Worry didn't save you. It just poisoned the waiting. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you finally stop worrying, when you rip the blindfold off, the miracle doesn't suddenly appear. No. It's been there all along, waiting for you to notice. It's like the sun hiding behind clouds. The sun never left. But your eyes were stuck on the storm. The minute you drop the obsession with what could go wrong, the clouds thin out and you see the light breaking through. And you realize it was there, waiting patient while you were busy panicking. But isn't that what life loves to do? It hides gifts in plain sight, makes you think you're abandoned, forgotten, only to reveal, bam, it was all being stitched together when you thought nothing was moving. And the only thing that can keep you blind to that truth is your own worry. The miracle is not late, you are. You're late because you're tangled in thoughts that don't serve you. So the game is simple. Stop staring at the shadows. Stop letting the noise in your head convince you that you're powerless. Because the moment you quiet it down, even for a second, you'll feel it. The shift, the change, the miracle crawling closer. And once you see it, worry looks pathetic, weak, like a bad habit you can't believe you ever thought was strength. People don't realize how strange timing is. They think blessings, miracles, changes, they should all arrive like packages with tracking numbers, on schedule, neatly wrapped just when they're ready. But timing doesn't play by human rules. Timing likes to trip you, confuse you, test you. It makes you wait longer than you think you can bear, then throws it all at you in a flood. And while you're busy scratching your head, cursing the delay, the truth is Every single second of waiting is carving you into the shape you need to be when the miracle finally lands. Most people crumble in the waiting room. They sit there staring at the clock, convinced they've been forgotten. They bang on the doors, cry out that nothing's happening, when reality, everything is happening behind the curtain. The waiting isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the refining fire that strips you of what can't come with you, burns off the old so the new can actually fit. But because people hate silence, they call it suffering. Because they can't see movement, they call it abandonment. And that's why so many never survive long enough to see what was being built for them. Imagine someone planting a seed. They cover it with dirt, water it, and leave it in darkness. If that seed could think, it would probably scream, "I'm buried! I'm suffocating!" Nothing is happening, but under the soil, in the quiet, something is stirring. Roots digging deep, cracks forming, life pushing toward the light. The seed has no idea the darkness is the very thing it needs. That's how timing works. Your miracle is breaking through the soil, but you're panicking because you can't see the sprout yet. And here's where it gets funny. When the miracle finally arrives, you'll look back at the waiting and laugh. You'll see how every delay, every silent night, every "why not now" was setting the stage, lining things up, protecting you from stepping into something too early. Because isn't that the cruelest trap? Getting the right thing at the wrong time. That's how people sabotage themselves. They force open doors before the foundation is ready. And then they call it a curse when it crumbles in their hands. Timing doesn't allow that. Timing is smarter than you. It doesn't care about your calendar, your deadlines, your desperation. It delivers when the ground is strong enough to hold it. But humans, oh, they despise waiting. They mistake pause for denial. They start comparing themselves, looking left and right, seeing someone else's miracle arrive sooner, and assuming theirs has been canceled. They don't realize that everyone's path has its own rhythm. What blooms in the summer would wither in the winter. What thrives in the night can't survive the day. And just because it's not your season yet, doesn't mean your season isn't coming. That's the real test. Can you hold your faith when nothing is moving? Can you trust the silence? Can you believe there's a hidden construction site in your life? workers building in the background, while you're staring at an empty lot thinking nothing exists. Most people walk away too soon. They move before the house is finished, and they never see what was almost ready. The beauty of timing is that it makes the miracle undeniable. If it came when you wanted it, you'd call it coincidence, luck, or your own effort. But when it comes after the delay, after the silence, after the heartbreak, it hits you like lightning. You realize nothing could have delivered this except something greater, something orchestrated beyond your reach. And that realization changes you forever. So the waiting isn't wasted. It's sharpening you, stretching you, making room inside you so when the miracle comes, it doesn't break you, it fits. Every day you feel ignored is actually a day closer to the explosion. Every delay is a secret layer being added to your foundation. And when the doors finally swing open, you'll see timing wasn't cruel. It was kind. It was saving you from yourself, holding back what you weren't ready to carry, only to hand it to you when you could finally hold it without dropping it. People think a miracle shows up wrapped in gold, with trumpets announcing its arrival, a bright flash of light that leaves no room for doubt. But that's not how it works. Miracles rarely arrive dressed like miracles. They slip in quietly, disguised as problems, disguised as losses, disguised as endings you never wanted. They don't look like gifts when they're dropped at your feet. They look like disasters. They feel like betrayal. And that's where most people miss it. They throw away what was meant to change them because it didn't look like what they were praying for. It's almost comical, really. Someone begs for strength, and life hands them obstacles. They cry out, "Why me? Why now?" But that problem they're cursing is the exact shape of the answer. Someone pleads for patience, and life slows them down, forces them to wait, strips away the shortcuts. They call it suffering, not realizing it's the very thing molding them into what they ask to become. Someone prays for freedom, and life tears away the chains they've grown comfortable in, rips them out of the cage they thought was home. They scream, thinking it's punishment, when in reality, it's the miracle they begged for. That's the trick. The miracle rarely wears the costume you expect. It doesn't knock politely and say, "Hello, I'm here to save you." It kicks down the door disguised as chaos, and most people, blinded by their fear, start chasing it out. They don't understand that the very storm they're hiding from is the one meant to carry them forward. Think about it. If every miracle came gift wrapped, tied in bows, you wouldn't grow. You'd stay soft, fragile, dependent. But miracles are teachers. They don't just hand you what you want. They shape you into the kind of person who can actually hold it without shattering. And shaping hurts. Growth feels like breaking. The skin has to stretch. The old has to die, and that never feels like a blessing in the moment. Take betrayal, for example. You think it's the end of trust, the end of love, the end of connection. But sometimes that betrayal is the only way to push you out of circles that were slowly poisoning you. You would have never left on your own. So the knife in your back becomes the hand that sets you free. At first you bleed, you curse, you rage. But later you see it was the doorway to the new life you couldn't imagine while you were blinded by loyalty. That's a miracle. Not the shiny, sparkling kind, but the brutal, messy, necessary kind. Or loss. The loss that rips something precious from you. Leaves you empty, staring at walls with nothing inside. At first, it feels like destruction. But sometimes that emptiness is the only way to make room for what's coming. You were too full, too attached, too comfortable. The loss cracked you open, hollowed you out, created space where the blessing could finally land. Without the loss, there'd be no room. But most people never see that until much later. It's a cruel joke life plays. The answers look like problems. The blessings look like curses. The beginning looks like the end. And if you're not careful, you'll throw away the very thing you've been praying for because you judged it too quickly. That's the real danger, mistaking your miracle for misery. And isn't it funny how hindsight changes everything? The job you lost becomes the reason you finally chased your dream. The breakup that shattered you becomes the door to a love you never knew existed. The rejection that embarrassed you becomes the push that led you to the stage you belong on. At the time, you swore it was hell. Later, you see it was heaven in disguise. That's the way it works. That's the rhythm. That's the secret almost no one tells you. So, when next storm arrives, when the ground shakes, when the doors slam shut, and you feel cornered, remember this. You might be staring at the costume of your miracle. It won't announce itself. It won't come in the form you wrote down on your wish list. but it will come in the form you need. And that form will challenge you, strip you, maybe even break you. Because only then can it rebuild you into someone strong enough to carry what you asked for. People spend their whole lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect timing, the perfect chance. They think life is this neat little stage play where everything happens in order. Cues go off on time, and the spotlight only shines when you're ready. But life isn't a play, it's chaos. The lights cut out, the curtain falls too early. The actors forget their lines. And the ones who win aren't the ones who wait for the script. They're the ones who walk into the mess and start writing their own lines. That's the truth no one wants to admit. There is no perfect time. There's only now. Now is ugly. Now is inconvenient. Now doesn't wait for you to feel brave or confident or prepared. It arrives unannounced, knocks once, and then slips away while you're still tying your shoes. People lose everything they want because they keep saying, "I'll be ready tomorrow." But tomorrow never shows up. Tomorrow is a ghost people chase until they die with their dreams rotting inside them. You want to know what makes the difference between the ones who rise and the ones who fade. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not even intelligence. It's speed. The ability to move when the opportunity appears, even if your hands are shaking, even if your stomach twists. Those who wait until they feel ready never start. Those who leap while terrified, while unsure, while unpolished, they're the ones who get ahead. They understand a secret. Momentum creates confidence, not the other way around. But humans, they love their excuses. They polish them like trophies. I'm waiting until I save more money. I'm waiting until I finish this degree. I'm waiting until my family supports me. I'm waiting until things calm down. They pile their lives on the shelf of waiting, stacking dust on dreams that will never see the light. And then one day, the clock strikes its final hour, and they realize the cruel truth. They were waiting for a day that never existed. A win. That word alone makes people's eyes light up, their hearts race, their minds spin with pictures of glory. But here's the twist. Most people think winning comes slow, a steady climb, a gentle reward for their patience. No. Sometimes it crashes down all at once, heavy, overwhelming, bigger than you imagined. A win so massive, it doesn't fit neatly into your hands. It shakes your life. It flips your story. It blindsides you in the best way possible. And the funny part, you don't even see it coming. You think you're losing, breaking, crawling, when in reality, the board is being set for a victory that will make sense of every bruise, every scar, every sleepless night. A win so massive it doesn't just change the game. It becomes the game people wait for victories the way children wait for gifts. Eyes wide, hearts hopeful, already rehearsing the smile they'll wear when it finally arrives. They picture the moment playing out neatly, like some perfect scene, predictable and satisfying. But life doesn't hand you wins wrapped in shiny paper with a bow on top. No, it's far more twisted than that. Wins rarely come the way you expect, because if they did, they wouldn't even feel like wins. They'd feel staged, scripted, dull. The truth is, real victories are messy. They don't follow your plans. They rip through them. They don't arrive on time. They arrive late, or too early, or at the exact moment you've stopped believing they'll ever come. And that's why they hit so hard. They catch you off guard. Think about the way people chase success. They map out their steps. They set their deadlines. They plan their perfect little futures. They whisper to themselves, "This is how it's supposed to happen." And when it doesn't go according to that plan, they panic, they break down, they think the win has passed them by. But what they don't see is that life loves to play tricks. It doesn't deliver victories through the front door. It sneaks them through the cracks, slipping them in when you're least prepared to handle them. Sometimes you're crying. Sometimes you're broke. Sometimes you're standing in ashes thinking the story is over. And that's the exact moment the wind shows up. Not because you're ready, but because you're not. Because victories aren't designed to fit into your schedule. They're designed to rewrite it, you see. When people expect something, they control it in their minds. They drain the magic out of it before it even arrives. They daydream it into a dull routine. But when a win comes unexpectedly, it shakes you. It grabs you by the throat and forces you to pay attention. Suddenly, every loss before it makes sense. Every disappointment becomes part of the buildup. Every no you heard turns into the echo that makes the yes louder. That's why real wins never match your vision. If they did, you'd take them for granted. You'd nod and say, "Of course. This is how it was supposed to go." but the best victories laugh at your expectations. They crash through your walls. They make you stumble. They leave you gasping because you didn't see them coming. And that's the real beauty of it. The unexpected win forces you to admit you're not in control. It humbles you and exalts you at the same time. 1 second, you're down in the dirt, swearing that nothing good will ever happen, and the next, you're standing on a mountain you didn't even know you were climbing. That's why it feels massive. That's why it feels surreal. Because you couldn't predict it. You couldn't fake it. You couldn't force it. It just happened, and in that happening, it reminds you that life isn't here to follow your script. It's here to surprise you, to break you, to test you, and then, just when you're about to give up, to hand you a win so shocking you can barely believe it's yours. But here's the cruel trick of the mind. While you're waiting, you'll convince yourself the win is never coming. You'll measure yourself against others. You'll think their victories mean yours is canceled. You'll curse the delays. You'll hate the silence. You'll despise the waiting. Yet all along, the win is being shaped in shadows, just out of sight, swelling bigger, heavier, more uncontainable with every setback. And when it drops, oh, when it drops, it'll be so different, so unlike what you pictured, that you'll laugh. You'll laugh at yourself for ever doubting. Laugh at the years of worry. Laugh at the way you thought you knew how it would all play out. Because the truth is, the win was never late, it was never lost, it was never forgotten. It was simply never going to arrive the way you expected. So, when people tell you to wait for your time, they don't mean sit still and picture the finish line. They mean keep moving even when the path twists. Keep breathing even when the air gets thin. Keep living even when everything feels pointless. Because the win is hiding in the chaos. It's hiding in the failure. It's hiding in the cracks of your story. And when it finally reveals itself, it won't look like what you imagined. It'll be better, bigger, wilder. The kind of win you couldn't have drawn in your plans. The kind you can't explain to anyone else. Because it doesn't make sense. At least not the way you thought it would. And that's the secret. Wins rarely arrive the way you expect. And that's the only reason they mean anything at all. Struggle. That ugly, unwanted guest that barges into every life. Nobody sends it an invitation, but it always finds its way in. People hate it, curse it, beg for it to leave. They see struggle as punishment, as proof that they're failing, as evidence that life is against them. But what if it isn't? What if struggle isn't a curse at all, but the setup for something bigger than you can imagine? What if the very weight that's breaking your back is the same weight that's building the strength you'll need to carry the win that's waiting ahead? Funny, isn't it, how people ask for victory, but cry when struggle answers the door? They don't realize those two always travel together, like shadows and light, like fire and smoke. Struggle feels cruel because it doesn't announce its purpose. It never says, "Relax, I'm here to prepare you." No, it just squeezes you, starves you, breaks your routine, takes from you until you're stripped raw. And in that rawness, you think you're done. You think life has cornered you. You think the story is over. But that's when the foundation is being laid, when the real work is happening behind the curtain. People think wins are built on talent, skill, luck, or timing. They're not. They're built on struggle, because only struggle forces you to stretch, to bleed, to adapt. Only struggle teaches you how to stand when standing feels impossible. Without it, you'd crumble the moment you got what you asked for. Picture someone who wins too easily. No pain, no scars, no lessons. They smile for a moment, sure, but it fades. It always fades. Because ease never leaves a mark, and marks are what give victories their weight. Struggle burns the memory into your bones. It's what makes you cry harder, fight harder, pray harder, scream louder. It's what carves resilience into your chest, so that when the wind finally arrives, you don't just hold it. You grip it like your life depends on it. Because it does. People without struggle waste their victories. They drop them, lose them, throw them away. But people who've walked through fire, they clutch their wins like treasure because they know the cost. And the strange thing is, struggle isn't just preparation, it's proof. Proof that something worth having is on its way. Think about it. The harder the pushback, the closer the breakthrough. Nobody fights for something that doesn't matter. Life doesn't break you for the fun of it. It breaks you because it knows what's being built inside you needs more space, more grit, more depth. That's why the nights get darker before the sunrise. That's why everything feels heavier right before it gets lighter. The struggle is not random, it's rehearsal. It's sharpening your instincts, toughening your skin, teaching you lessons your comfort zone never could. Most people miss that because they're too focused on the pain. They sit in the middle of struggle and say, "Why me? Why now? Why this?" They look at others who seem to be winning and think they've been forgotten. But what they don't see is that while the others might be celebrating little victories, they're being prepared for something massive. Their struggle isn't punishment, it's protection. It's the universe saying, "Not yet, not this way, not this small." The longer the struggle, the greater the setup, the deeper the cut, the sweeter the healing. And when the win finally comes, the same people who pitied you will call it overnight success, not knowing the years of silent wars you fought to get there. Struggle is the setup because it makes sure you can survive the very victory you've been begging for. Everyone wants the crown, but nobody talks about the weight of it. Struggle trains your neck to carry it. Everyone wants the spotlight, but nobody mentions the heat of it. Struggle prepares your skin not to burn. Everyone wants freedom, but nobody understands the cost. Struggle makes sure you've paid in advance. Without it, victory would crush you. With it, you rise, not just to claim the win, but to keep it, protect it, and grow it. That's the irony. Struggle isn't the enemy of victory. It's the guarantee of it. So when you feel cornered, when the pressure is choking you, when everything is falling apart, don't mistake it for failure. See it for what it is, the setup. The stage being built, the fire forging the steel, the storm preparing the ground for harvest. Because the truth is simple, struggle is never the end. It's the middle. It's the silence before the music drops. It's the wait before the lift. It's the dark tunnel before the blinding light. And the bigger the struggle, the bigger the win, waiting at the other end, a massive win, never feels gentle when it arrives. It doesn't slip into your life like a quiet guest. It storms in, slams doors, shatters routines, and makes you question if you're even ready for it. That's why at first it feels overwhelming. You've been asking, waiting, bleeding for a breakthrough, and then suddenly it drops in your lap so heavy it almost breaks you before it blesses you. People think winning is supposed to feel like relief, like a breath of fresh air. But no, sometimes it feels like you're drowning in the very ocean you prayed for, too much too fast. And that's the point. It stretches you beyond what you thought you could carry. It forces you to expand, to adapt, to become someone bigger than who you were yesterday. It's funny how people imagine success. They think it's clean, shiny, golden. But the truth is, when the big win comes, it's messy. It brings new responsibilities, new battles, new eyes watching, new enemies lurking. You thought you were fighting just to get there, but the real fight begins when you arrive. That's why the win feels overwhelming, because it exposes whether you've built the strength to hold it or not. A small victory can slip through careless fingers, but a massive win demands everything from you. It doesn't come to make your life easier. It comes to make your life louder, heavier, brighter. And brightness blinds, weight crushes, volume deafens if you're not ready for it. Most people pray for the win, but never prepare for the wait. They say, I just want one chance, one break, one door to open. Then when the door finally explodes off its hinges, they freeze, they panic, they run. Because what they really wanted wasn't a massive win. It was a convenient one, a neat one, something they could control. But real victories are never controllable. They spill into every corner of your life. They change how people see you. They change how you see yourself. They come with pressure, and pressure reveals cracks. That's why some people lose their blessings as quickly as they receive them, because they never understood that wins are not rewards. They're responsibilities. The overwhelming nature of a massive win is what makes it real. Think about it. If it didn't shake you, it wouldn't be worth it. If it didn't stretch you, it wouldn't grow you. If it didn't scare you, it wouldn't change you. Overwhelm isn't the enemy. It's the proof that what you've received is bigger than what you were. It's life forcing you to level up instantly, without asking, without warning. And that shock, that's the refining fire. It burns away the smallness, the doubts, the excuses. It leaves you raw, vulnerable, but stronger than you've ever been. And there's a strange beauty in it. When the wind first hits, you think you can't handle it. You doubt yourself. You shake, you almost drop it. But as days pass, you realize you're adapting. You're growing into it. The same wind that scared you starts to shape you. You learn how to stand taller, how to breathe deeper, how to move differently. The overwhelm transforms into ownership. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, yes, me. That's the secret. Massive wins feel like drowning at first, but they teach you how to swim in deeper waters. They don't shrink to fit you. You expand to fit them. People rarely admit this part. They love to tell the story of the win, but not the weight of it. They show you the crown, not the neck it bent. They flaunt the spotlight, not the shadows that chase them afterward. But the truth is, the overwhelm is the price of greatness. It's not a glitch, it's a feature. It makes sure you don't waste what you've been given, that you don't treat something priceless like it's common. The heaviness of the win is what etches gratitude into your bones. Without that overwhelm, you'd lose it before you ever learned its worth. So if the victory feels like too much, if it crashes down on you like a tidal wave, if it shakes you to the core, don't misread it. That's not punishment. That's confirmation. That's how you know it's massive. Wins that change your life don't arrive politely. They arrive violently. They break you before they build you. And that first feeling of being overwhelmed is not weakness. It's transformation in real time. It's the evidence that you're no longer the person who was waiting. You've become the person who was chosen. And chosen people don't get small victories. They get the ones that demand everything, the ones that flip their world upside down, the ones that feel unbearable until they finally become undeniable. Loss is a trickster. It shows up dressed as failure, rejection, humiliation, and you curse it, hate it, push it away like a plague. But here's the punchline. It was never loss at all. It was preparation. Every so-called setback, every door slammed in your face, every tear you swallowed in silence was carving you into something sharper, something hungrier, something capable of holding what was meant for you. The problem is, people only see the surface. They see the pain, the fall, the emptiness, but they don't see the construction happening underneath. They don't notice how every cut teaches endurance, how every betrayal teaches clarity, how every wound teaches wisdom. Loss looks like destruction, but it's actually the training ground for elevation. Think about it. What if you were handed everything you wanted without the weight of those losses? You'd drop it. You wouldn't have the muscles to carry it, the scars to protect it, the discipline to honor it. Loss is the heavy bag in the gym that nobody loves but everybody needs. It hits back. It bruises, it drains you, but it makes you strong enough for the real fight. Without it, victory would crush you. That's why loss always comes first. It breaks down the weak parts of you so the strong parts can finally surface. And when the wind shows up, you realize every heartbreak was actually rehearsing you for the stage you were destined to stand on